What's going on, New Gaming Order? This is Alex Lexus, Nelson Del Rio, and our guest Free Play Mode spin-off subsidiary doing his own thing under the Machinima umbrella. We're going to do some quick introductions and get into our Summer Slam 2015 reaction. So, our guest first, Demizzle, opening comments.
That's all I gotta say.
All right.
Exhale.
Okay. And any announcements for your show and your scheduling and whatnot?
I'm gonna be doing a new podcast called Free Play Mode Presents the Retro Time Warp, and it's gonna be hosted by myself and a good friend of mine, Syrinx. So be on the lookout for that pretty soon.
All right, cool. Hey, Nelson, my brother in arms, what's going on? And, any announcements before we get started and rocking and rolling?
Well, first announcement is I won't be here for the following week, guys, so you will possibly miss me out on the podcast. I'm going on a little time off, as I would say.
That's right, Nelson. Break yourself. I got this.
But definitely Friday is going to be a good stream coming up with Gears of War Ultimate Edition with us and the crew. So
if you guys want to play, we're gonna get it in. We're gonna have some fun. Like New Gaming Order, we're gonna forego Friday night fights for that. So either myself or Nelson will host it, or make sure you check out the multi-Twitch where we got some. I'll put a list of gamer tags who are associated with the New Gaming Order. You can play with either one or two of them, and you'll probably end up on our stream. So don't get busted by the shotgun like I do. So. With that, let's get ready to rumble. New Gaming Order. We are hot off the heels of WWE's 2015 Summer Slam. Now, we're gonna go match by match, and we're gonna try not to go too long. But this was a 4-hour pay-per-view, and it's the WWE corporate saw fit to beef this up. Oh, hold on. We're gonna go match by match. And I'm hearing an echo. Try not to go too long, but this is a 4-hour pay-per-view. All right, hold on. And it's the WWE corporate saw fit. Sorry about that, guys. Oops.
Alex was just so in love with himself, he had to wash himself on his shirt.
No, I thought I muted it, but
Of course you did.
Yeah, where we were going, I sound like a 14-year-old kid. I think I'm like nasal or something.
You need to get some bass in your voice, man.
Shut up. But apparently SummerSlam has been elevated to like a semi WWE WrestleMania caliber. So, it's a 4-hour event, and it looks like, they're trying to do first quarter or first half of the year WrestleMania, second half of the year SummerSlam. So I think that's an interesting strategy, and I just wanted to open with that first before we start with the first match. So Demizzle, your thoughts about WWE going that route?
Kind of makes no sense because WrestleMania was 4 months ago.
Okay. So Nelson, your thoughts? Go ahead.
It's not like WrestleMania is some distant memory of like 6 months ago. It literally was 3.5 months ago in April.
So do you feel it's like they're oversaturating the pay-per-views? Like there's like one every month now.
Yeah, like this pay-per-view did not need to be 4 hours. And yes, I do believe that since the WWE has no competition, they need to scale back the amount of pay-per-views they have, because they literally it's not even one a month. They literally have 13 pay-per-views a year, with 1 month having 2 pay-per-views in it. So they need to scale back to make it worthwhile. They need to make pay-per-view mean something again.
Okay. And then Nelson, your thoughts? Do you agree with Demizzle on?
Not necessarily, because they actually need to start doing more events like this, in the sense of reel in the crowd. Because now think about it, okay? They just had NXT TakeOver Brooklyn.
Yeah, the night
Saturday,
before. Yeah.
Okay, that was Saturday. That was a normal pay-per-view time slot. Then you had now SummerSlam. and now you're doing Raw the very next night. So what they're doing intentionally is that since it's like the first time ever that SummerSlam is in the Barclays Center, and they're having the previous pay-per-view, including with a regular, show broadcasting. They're trying to reel in everything that they can. Put them on talk shows. Go to Yankee
exposure,
Stadium. Yeah, the mass exposure.
And it's like, remember WrestleMania week? They were doing SummerSlam week.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not like it's the first time they've ever been in the Barclays Center, though. That's what I don't get.
The thing is though, Demizo, like if you look at it on record, they don't really come to New York that often compared to other states.
So when they're here, they got to make a dent.
Yeah, they gotta push hard, especially with the product that they were trying to push with the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Taker. That shit filled out like that, bro. That shit was.
But if they wanted to do something like a mid-year, like WrestleMania, they should do Survivor Series they should treat Survivor Series as that and not SummerSlam, because SummerSlam is like people are about to go on vacation for Labor Day weekend, excuse me. And it's like, okay, and then people have gone back to school. We've still got people still out on summer break, so it doesn't feel like a middle of the year big time pay-per-view type thing.
And plus they pushed it back further and further every couple years, like I remember SummerSlam being in like early August time frame.
It used to be in the first week of August. Now it's in literally the last week of August. So
yeah. But I also think about it as like, this is just from my personal opinion, because I wish I could have gone in person. This is for the people who could not see or could not go to WrestleMania.
I think so.
This is I guess you could say, the other half. That people can go out and be like, oh shit, I went to a fucking godlike event. It's not WrestleMania, but it's damn well close to it. And that's why they extended it instead of 3 hours as their normal time slot. It was like, fuck it, let's throw it for 4. We got our own network, we make our own time. So,
and you know what, I will say, even with NXT TakeOver the night before, I think that they did a good thing, to piggyback. And I'm pretty sure people bought tickets to both events. You know what I mean? So NXT, with the sold out for for that magnitude, that I think that was a strategic move to get the exposure for these guys, and then still have like Cesaro, Owens, who are gonna be there the next night. But like you guys were saying, and Demizo, I want to give you dap on that. Like, it's too many pay-per-views back to back. You have people doing NXT and the main roster. You're gonna burn them out and have them susceptible to injury.
I'll tell you exactly why NXT sold out, and in my opinion was the better show of the two, is because, and why it honestly came off as the better show, is because New York City is one of the main places of independent wrestling. Like, New York City is like smart fan, land of the smart fan, along with Philadelphia. So those are the two places you could do an NXT show and have it go over as well as it did, because essentially everybody that wrestles for NXT, smart fans know from their previous independent scene or Japanese wrestling scene. Like, people know Finn Balor as a wrestler for New Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. People know Kevin Owens from Ring of Honor as Kevin Steen. People know who they were prior to being in NXT. People know who Samoa Joe is. People know those people in New York City, and they respect them because they know the caliber of a performer that they are. NXT is not a storyline focused product.
In-ring
focused product. Whereas the main roster of WWE is heavily storyline focused, which we'll get into later on, and which leads to my disappointment with the SummerSlam card.
Okay, alright. So, without further ado, first match, Sheamus versus Randy Orton. Now, unfortunately for me, I was kind of scrambling back and forth and making sure that I'm like, okay, I'm going to set up the podcast, and then I kind of missed portions of the match. However, I did catch like the mid towards the end, it looks solid. You know, I mean, for them to be for the first match on the card was kind of strange to me. But I guess they had so many matches, it's like they had to roll the dice. Now, you know, I don't want to go into the finish, but it looked to me like Randy Orton just didn't really have anything to lose, so he dropped, you know, doing whatever elevation for Sheamus because he's the Money in the Bank holder right now. You know, is to me, I was thinking I was just hey, you know, keep an eye on Sheamus going forward. So I wanted to give Nelson the floor first, and then Demizo. But Nelson, your thoughts on that first match?
Well, I thought the match was like pretty cool because again, they're two well-known wrestlers. They both know how to actually fight. They're very good in, you know, in-ring chemistry with each other.
Yeah, indeed.
So it just honestly it boils down to the writers saying like, hey, let Sheamus win. He still needs to run. That he's going still strong with Money in the Bank, holding it in.
Yeah.
And they made it so that, you know, Sheamus didn't cheat. He didn't have to interfere. He didn't have to do nothing, you know, out of the ordinary. But he did surprise the crowd a few times with a couple of moves that kind of caught Randy off guard.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought it was a good match. It wasn't the best match of the night, but it was a very good, you know, first match.
Okay. And Demizo, your thoughts on Sheamus versus Randy RKO Orton?
While it wasn't a bad match, it was the typical Randy Orton versus Sheamus match that we've seen so many times before.
Which shouldn't have been on the pay-per-view. Now I'm thinking about it. It didn't need to be there.
And as Nelson said, like, they have very good chemistry, so it was a good match, but it was just the typical match that you've seen from them so many times before, just role reversal with Orton being the face and Sheamus being a heel.
Yeah.
And I agree, like, they needed to keep Sheamus going strong because he is the Money in the Bank holder, and they can't have him look super weak, but they need him to have wins over quality opponents. And Randy Orton's kind of in limbo right now. They're not really doing anything, but his character is strong enough to where a loss to Sheamus really wouldn't damage his character. So.
Okay.
That's where we stand on that. Like, Randy Orton and Sheamus by proxy, this was like, okay, we need to do something with these guys. These guys are in limbo, so we put on a solid opening match to open the show.
Okay. Now with the finish, Sheamus was impressive with that double bro kick, man. Oh my God, that's like double quarter circle forward, medium kick, then all three with the ultra kicked them, you know, and Randy went down like a sack of bricks. But like Demizo said, it was a typical match between the two. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like the match of the night caliber. So do we all agree on that?
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we're gonna disagree over the course of this podcast this evening, it's gonna be a roller coaster of a thing. So next match in the shoot was the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match between the Lucha Dragons. What was that? I didn't even put all the teams, but
it was the Lucha Dragons, the
New
Primetime
Day
Players, the New Day, and
the
Los
Matadors.
Matadors.
Yeah.
Now, here's my thing. This match surprised me. You know, to me, I like Fast and Furious, crazy tornado-style matches, okay? And this exceeded my expectations. I thought it was going to be like a stupid filler match, but this was really entertaining. It was very funny, you know? I mean, you had El Torito getting in there, getting flapjack powerbombed by Ezekiel, or, you know...
Xavier Woods, man.
Yeah, I'm tired. It's late. You know what? Get it together, Alex. Come on. All right. So
get your shit together, Elmera. Get your shit together.
Oh, government. Hold on. All right. So, I mean, the pacing of the match was interesting, but like the primetime players were very over. I mean, Brooklyn. When you come to our neck of the woods, like New Jersey, New York, like when Fandango after WrestleMania, what was it 2030, where he's sitting there, everybody was like, you know, doing the Fandango chants and all that. I mean, you can only get that in this area, you know, and being that Demizo has been, you know, used to be up here, he knows, he'll tell you, we got some of the rowdiest crowds, us, New York, PA, we get it in, and the crowd really helped elevate that match for me because when they were responding to somebody doing one of their signature moves followed by another signature move and bam bam they're like oh I mean that match exceeded my expectations. I mean the Lucha Dragons to me were the highlights on that because they're so technical, the chaining of the moves and such, and I took some notes with it. I know that there was the double suplex into the power bomb near the end where you had was it the Lucha Dragons, they were going to double suplex one of the Matadores, and then here comes Titus, and but they pulled that from NXT because that happened on NXT some time back, but overall I thought it was a very entertaining, for what it was entertaining. I'm not happy with the outcome, but we'll visit the outcome once everybody else gets a chance. But Nelson, your thoughts on that match?
Well, I mean, it was a typical Fatal 4-Way tag team match. I was actually kind of shocked at literally the first 10 seconds of the match because I was unaware that you could tag in your own partner and still pin your own partner to win the match. I was unaware of that.
Wait. Did they change the rules?
I heard they did not. I heard this was from the beginning. So let's say.
Wait. So let's say the three of us, right? We're against Shinwar, Noob, and Takuma, right?
And you're in the ring first.
Yeah.
And let's say DeMizzle tagged in someone else that you was fighting against. Let's say he tagged in me, for an example.
Yeah.
You can literally pin your own partner and still win the match because technically you can tap anyone to come in.
What kind of crap was that?
That's what kind of threw me off.
I'll admit that was like a smart play. It was like a smart thing by the New Day to recognize that and go for that
that
exploit of the rules, so to speak, that nobody really knew about. But it was funny. It was funny how they tried to pull that one off. And
but
it was kind of original too. So I give the WWE kudos for thinking outside the box for that brief 10 seconds of the start of the match there.
Nah, I mean, here's my thing. Right now, WWE, the primetime players are hot right now. And to take the titles from them and give it back to the New Day, it's like, come on. No,
it makes sense.
I feel like we're getting trolled. But the thing is, it's just like the whole Mayweather effect. You had some people who only watched them just to see him lose. You know what I mean? So with the New Day, you put the titles on them. It's like, okay, now you're gonna watch the pay-per-views to see somebody else take the title off of them. That's what I think they're going with. But you're gonna respond.
They're doing this because of the fact that now, since they have enough tag teams, supposedly, which they don't, but they feel like with enough tag teams now, it will give the opportunity for the primetime players to, invoke their rematch clause whenever the hell they feel like it.
Yeah.
And then it also opens up new revenue because now the New Day probably could fight the Los Matadors. They could probably fight the Ascension. They could probably fight.
Where are the Ascension? What happened?
They're back at NXT doing a retraining because they have to level up for their bumps because they're not used to some of the wrestlers yet.
Because I noticed that their mic skills weren't all that great and stuff. But make them Paul Heyman guys. I'm telling you that I think that team had potential.
The team is strong, but again, it's like I said, when they try to fight the regular in-ring Raw and SmackDown wrestlers, they don't know how they fight. They're still kind of like, okay, this is a little bit weird because we fought on NXT is a little bit different. And the way how they was brought up, now they have to train themselves to become WWE regular Monday to Thursday.
Now the problem with that, you see the Divas division that's going through this wonderful revolution, right? How come they're succeeding where the Ascension has failed?
I can tell you exactly why. Like in NXT, it's kind of like Nelson said. In NXT, they were pushed as like the unstoppable Legion of Doom style run roughshod over everybody tag team. Like they only lost when they were about to be promoted to the main roster because they had to drop the NXT tag titles. You can't do that with the Ascension on the main roster because one, there's only like 5 tag teams in the main roster, whereas in NXT there's like about 7 or 8 where you can do that to.
Yeah.
Secondly, like, it's a matter of hierarchy on the main roster. You really think that they're gonna have this new tag team just run roughshod over the New Day and the Primetime Players and the Lucha Dragons?
No, I don't expect that. But you're
So,
right. They don't have enough people to kind of build them up like they did for Ryback. You know what I mean? Like it.
right,
You
like
know.
you can feed Ryback a bunch of underneath guys like Zack Ryder. There's tons of those guys on the main roster of the WWE roster, but there are not a ton of bullshit tag teams on the main roster that you can do that for the Ascension unless you start bringing in outside jobber guys just to do that.
Like Brooklyn, the former Brooklyn Brawlers and things like
See,
that. You know.
that's something that is sorely lacking from the WWE and
It's
mainstream wrestling overall. There are no outright jobber guys. Everybody is somebody today in the WWE. Like, you even know who Zack Ryder is, even though he hasn't gotten a win in forever. Yeah, it's like there's no hailing from Piscataway, New Jersey, David Aaron, weighing 215 pounds and dressed in like the most basic ring gear and get squashed in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
There's no more of those guys.
Yeah, like Saturday Morning Slams or Saturday Morning Superstars. They kind of got away from that art. Like the business model has indeed changed, but without straying too far off, we're gonna get into the next match. Rusev versus Dolph Ziggler. That match was thrown in at the last minute. And you know what? Without jumping to the ending too much, it ended the way that in the best scenario for both superstars, aka wrestlers. I still call them wrestlers because all of the three of us on this panel are from that era. They're in-ring performers, all right? So, with that, you saw the return of Dolph Ziggler, who was supposed to come back after SummerSlam, but came back, early. And hey, they threw him into the pay-per-view in a program with Rusev, Summer Rae, and Lana. Now, it kind of brought me back to that Macho Man Miss Elizabeth thing. He got his boo piece, and they walk into the ring, and cat fighting, and sensational Sherry type. And I know these guys know exactly how I'm relating it to that. But I think this is more of a story-driven situation. Just to get, because the WWE fans are on a Lana craze right now. You know what I mean? They want to. I think they're pushing to get her in the ring for a mixed tag with Rusev and Summer Rae. But overall, you saw her new attire. She's not dressing like the business girl. She looked like Blaze from Streets of Rage 2. Instead, but it was like blue tie-dye, white, and whatever. But I was entertained by it. It's just the ending. I just wanted something more definitive. But switching up the order, Demizzle, your thoughts on that, and then Nelson. Rusev versus Ziggler.
I thought it was a good match. I do think that the focus was too heavy on the managers, so to speak, because unfortunately that's what happens when you stick two people with female managers in a match, is that the feud inevitably becomes more focused on the female managers who are non-wrestlers rather than the wrestlers themselves, and I think that's a disservice to the wrestlers.
Yeah,
but
especially with Rusev pulling out different moves in his arsenal. You know what I mean? I think that, like you said, the emphasis was more on Summer Rae and Lana instead of what Rusev was bringing new to the table. You know what I mean?
And
so
you see exactly where it's gonna head to, because now they're gonna jump into a mixed tag match of some sort at the next pay-per-view, I'm assuming, because like the ending sets that up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, do you really want to see Summer Rae and Lana wrestle, or not even wrestle, just roll around in the ring for like 30 seconds and then
HLA Bischoff style? I miss those days. That was entertaining. You know it. It was fun, man. I liked it. HLA.
It wasn't even remotely fun. It was just stupid.
It was just, you know what? I think that's like a break from the seriousness that goes into like the main events or the dual main events and whatnot.
But you could have made this a serious feud, especially when they set it up with Rusev faking that he was still hurt, then using the crush to do the throat thing on Dolph. You could have set that up perfectly, but WWE is like squandering opportunity with Dolph because the guy is like super over, and they're just not giving this guy a chance to run with the ball.
Now, I wanted to interject. WWE is they're making some good decisions and some very bad ones. Some very bad ones that are affecting superstars. Like
Dolph and Rusev are among the very bad ones that they're making. Like those guys are, while they're very good wrestlers, they should not be wrestling each other.
Okay. All right. So Nelson, your thoughts on Ziggler versus Rusev?
Honestly, the easiest way I can put it, that match was a waste of time. The match was put in last minute, so they tried to put on the best performance that they could on possible. I was on the party chat with a friend of mine, and we thought originally that it was going to be a mixed tag match between Dolph Ziggler and Lana versus Rusev and whatever her fucking face is. And apparently we only got a one-on-one match, and they both lost by a double countout.
No. It almost ended like that. And
no, it wasn't.
No, it was.
Oh yeah. That's right. That's right.
And the thing is, with that being said, you can already tell that there's going to be future stuff with these four individuals.
You know what? With the double count out, how it ended, you got to look at Rusev is supposed to be built up as this super heel, right? Ziggler's just coming back. Neither one of them could afford a loss. So it ended in the best way it could have for both superstars. You know,
I thought it was just to the point where they wanted to add the other two, individuals.
Yeah, they're testing it. They're testing it, and believe me, Lana's training. She's definitely training for.
Well, she already has a wrestling background. It's just that they haven't let her do it yet. Because she has a couple of in-ring names right now from the past. Like I did a little research not long ago. She could wrestle, but WWE doesn't want her to do nothing just yet.
You know what it is? That's their slow burn to make you want to see her in the ring. And by the time she does get in there, the pop is going to be crazy. You know, so it's like they're like, feeding the fans breadcrumbs. And then when it happens, it has to happen at a significant pay-per-view. Like The Miz was saying, hey, maybe we could save that for like a Survivor Series, if not WrestleMania. Who knows? But that's like a ways off. But it remains to be seen. But overall, I think the double count out kind of saves face for both of them, Rusev and Ziggler, and they kind of got overshadowed by the ladies. So what do we agree on this?
I do.
All right, cool. Moving on. The celebrity match. You had, what was that? Cosmic King, freaking Wade Barrett, and freaking Stardust versus Arrow and Neville, or Mr. ML. And I'm gonna go on to say WWE was clever in how they promoted this match. Right? It was like a whole comic book setup. With the whole overlays and all that, and then
text overlays.
Yeah. Shout out to Michael Hurdle. But I would say the one thing that I was so surprised by was Steve Amell's in-ring prep. There were some things he was doing that, like, okay, he was more smoother than like a Lawrence Taylor when he was in the ring, or Floyd Mayweather, or Mr. T even. I mean, I was just like, okay, was this guy a fan? Or like, it looked like he knew what he was doing. Even though obviously he wasn't conditioned, like he was just like there, to pull in like the Marvel folks who are watching WB and watching Arrow. But the way that they set this up, like good versus evil, and pairing him up with Neville, who has the whole gimmick like being a superhero and everything, I think that was ingenious. And I was very impressed with the prep, because I was talking to Shinwar while we were watching the pay-per-view. I'm like, who trained this guy? Who was he working with? I'm like, okay. And even the announce table said that, man, I'm surprised with what he was able to take. He did get his butt, the brakes beat off of him, but he really, if Arrow ever goes off the air and he wanted to, do something on the side, I think that I would not be surprised. Might not happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if he joined WWE on a part-time basis. So, Nelson, what are your thoughts on that tag team match?
Well, it was too short for one.
It was.
What's his name? Steve Lamel.
Amell, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He has a lot of prior experience due to the upcoming show of, him doing Arrow. He had a lot of time, training, just like, what's that stupid boxing movie that just recently dropped?
Oh, the Southpaw?
Yeah, like the dude actually sat there and trained for 4 months to be a real boxer. So the same thing with Amell.
Oh, yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right, so he trained in somewhat of the same condition as if he was going to be like this acrobat archer. Mm-hmm. So he has experience as of like moving around.
Yeah, physicality.
So he knows how to throw a move here and there, but he can't take a hit. There's a difference between performing the move and, showing off, and then there's a difference between getting fucked up and not taking the hit correctly. Mm-hmm. So... Yeah. He was in the mixed part. Yeah. But again, I wanted this match to go on a little bit longer, and it was obvious who was gonna win. Yeah. The good guys is gonna fucking win.
And not only that, they kept it short because they know it takes a different conditioning to be a WWE wrestler / superstar. So they can't burn him out and or open him to injury so that he doesn't go back to the Arrow set hurt.
Well, that's true, but then he could have just left it into the majority of Neville, because that's most.
Well, Neville did pretty much carry the match though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if Lamel felt like he couldn't perform to like his liking, just hey, Neville just take the fucking match, But it was kind of cool. Red Arrow, Green Arrow.
Yeah,
I get it.
They should have just called them the Arrows. That would have been cool, but it's just me being corny.
It was, to me, like, to summarize it, it was just a placeholder, just like how a normal, typical Divas match was. But now, I can't say that. I'll save that Diva portion for later. But it's like a placeholder. And, he got exposure. The show got exposure.
Marvel and all that. Like, they knew how they were branching off.
Yeah, so that match purposely was just like, hey, guys, I'm from Arrow. Tune in to CW and watch my shit. And I'm a WWE fan. Yay.
Yeah, that was cool. And WWE smart with, like, how they did that Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania and The Rock and all that. So, all right. So, Demizzle, your thoughts on this match?
Actually, it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay. And for what reasons?
I'll make this clear off the jump. I'm not a fan of the series Arrow. Mm-hmm. But that's a whole nother rant for a whole nother podcast. Okay. But props to Stephen Amell. Like, he did a lot more than I thought he was going to be doing. Like,
somebody trained him. They prepped him real good.
I'm not surprised that they trained him. I'm just surprised that he did as much as he did, because like Barrett and Stardust, they got some legitimate offense in on the guy. Like, they suplexed him, they threw him over the ropes, they did a lot of stuff to him that you normally wouldn't see
to a celebrity. Yeah. Not only that, he got his licks in too. He kicked Cody in the chest, like,
he got a good Sparta kick. This is Sparta kick on Cody. Put him with a Enziguri. He jumped off the top rope.
Yeah, that Enziguri was textbook, bro. Like, really?
So, yeah, like, props to him. It was good stuff. It was good for what it was. It wasn't like the match of the year, but it was definitely good for what it was. And Neville got in there, did his thing, did the man that gravity forgot, did his top rope moves and got the win for him and Stephen Amell. But yeah, definitely props to Stephen Amell for getting in there, taking the bumps, doing the moves, and looking good while doing it.
Okay, excellent. I was entertained by that. That I think that went off without a hitch. Nobody got hurt. He could go back to the set. Exposure for WWE. Well done. Triple H, Stephanie, Vince, and creative. That was a high point for me. But moving on to the next match, triple threat match: Miz, Ryback, Big Slow. I don't have much to say other than the fact that there were some like oohs and ah moments and whatnot. But where is Big Show's position in the company right now? It's just like he's just around floating, like Mark Henry. Like if they need him to get in there to elevate another guy, I just feel that Big Show. I don't know, what do you do with him now? You know. And the Miz, it's like okay, he has that annoying heel thing going with him. Hey, he's still around. He's doing great for himself, but you know, Ryback coming back from injury, his first pay-per-view back. I think the match itself, again, had its oohs and ahs moments, and you know, like a bunch of moves going back and forth. And why is Ryback going to the top ropes? You know, I know he's trying to not be that stiff guy or you know whatever.
They're trying to get him out of that Goldberg mentality.
Yeah, because he's sitting there doing splashes at the top ropes and like that.
Like that I can live with because it's not like the most technically impressive top rope move. Like all you have to do is literally fall off the top rope and extend your body and you splash somebody. So it's not like the most awe-inspiring move there ever is in terms of top rope moves. So it's not like, oh, he's like too big to be doing that. That one I can let that one go. Okay.
Now here's you know, another thing with that match for me. Like Miz was missing for a major majority of it, but he was also very entertaining when Big Show and Ryback are knocked out. He's trying to go for pins back and forth, and the crowd is laughing. It was pretty funny. I thought that was a nice touch.
That was his role in that match because honestly, like what do you expect Miz to do in a match with the Big Show and Ryback? You can't have the Miz like like the Miz is a very good wrestler. Like it's not something that a lot of people like to give him props on, but he's a very good wrestler.
Yeah.
But in that scenario, you can't have the Miz be a very good wrestler because nobody would believe. Okay, he's a very good wrestler against Ryback and the Big Show. So something's going on here. So he played the role he was supposed to play.
But the WMD that Miz caught, that was priceless, man. Unbelievable. Why would you go to the, you know, swing off the rope so that Big Show can cocky one, you know? But
small guy, big guy, you gotta build that momentum and hope for the best.
He got hit like Super Macho Man hit Lil Mac in Mike Tyson's Punch Out on the NES. It turned pink and he went down like a $2 hole on Freeland Heisen Avenue in Newark. Nelson, your thoughts?
I thought the match was a huge waste of fucking time, and having Big Show there, not being able to do anything with certain things. I'm not talking about this as a storyline, writers kind of thing. I'm talking about realistically.
Yeah.
Big Show can fuck up any goddamn person there if he truly wanted to. It is not fair for both him and Mark Henry, supposedly, to be pushed away into the background, because if by true story, Big Show could literally take every fucking single title single-handedly and walk around like he's the big dog of the fucking house.
But you know why they would never let that happen? Triple H admittedly said that they're selling stories. They're not in the business of like NXT where they're selling talent. They're selling stories. And the thing with that, like DeMizzo even said, like back in the day, me and him were talking about Undertaker when he was in better health, and you know, how are you gonna get the title off a guy like that? You know what I mean? If Big Show or Taker or Kane, Brock, like if you cut them loose, they're never gonna lose. They're never gonna lose.
Like even like look how they got the title off of Brock this past
WrestleMania.
Not even WrestleMania. At the last pay-per-view. Well, how they prevented him from winning the title. They literally had to have Undertaker come in and interfere in the match and kick him in the nuts so he wouldn't win the title. Then at WrestleMania, for him to lose the title, he didn't even legitimately get his shoulders pinned to lose the title. Like Seth Rollins came in, hit Brock, who was already down, then he curb stomped Roman Reigns, and that's how he won the titles.
Yeah, and like you said, some people you can't believably get titles off of them without screwing them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's by storyline, but in my opinion, this is like I said, I watch all different types of wrestling, and basically coming from all of that and only having one network where it's only story driven, which is the WWE, it kind of takes the fun out of it because I promise you, if they hopefully Triple H does this fucking smart. If he forces what NXT is and puts it on to where WWE is at, like where Raw and SmackDown is,
Yeah.
and only go for in-ring presentation,
Yeah.
I swear to everything, everyone will enjoy it 10 times better. Because then you won't just get shitty ass wrestlers or replayable matches seen the same day of Monday and Thursday. You could put literally Zack Ryder, who's technically by story is a shitty jobber, but he might actually be the shit, and you might not know that.
Yeah, and you know what I think is going to end up happening? NXT, or, you know, I'm trying to figure out the acronym outside of NEXT, but I think that that's gonna be the future. Like, you see, even with, like, you know, we'll talk about the Cesaro and Owens match later, but they had a storyline, and then it still had a good in-ring match. You know what I mean? The future is bright, and it's going to marry that story and in-ring display. So I just say that we're in for a treat in a few years. We just have to wait it out a little bit, because the era of the John Cena's and, you know, some of the other folks, they're gonna go into the sunlight or the sunset, so to speak. So we just have to wait. You know, NXT is gonna become main roster, and then the new generation will come in, where Triple H, as much as I didn't like a lot of what he was in the company and marrying Steph and having the title for ridiculous amount of title runs and such, what he did with NXT. Bravo to that man. With that, he has my utmost respect, because NXT is like, man, we're in for some good shit, you know. So
and not only that, but just so like in general, because this is not going to spoil anything for the pay-per-view, but what he's doing with him, William Regal, and a couple other behind-the-scenes wrestlers, they're bringing talent from all over. And it's not like, okay, if you guys did watch the NXT takeover in Brooklyn, did you not notice with one of the first matches you had Tyler Breeze, right, which is like the pretty boy face of NXT,
fighting Liger, right?
Right, and he fought Joshua Liger, which is
Jushin Thunder Liger,
and he's an international superstar. He
WCW, Japan,
he is a world decorated champion.
Yep.
And they said on NXT that they're going to start doing this more frequently, where they might not even be, you know, NXT roster, but they will still bring in guest wrestlers.
That's going to be smart.
Participate in the pay-per-views.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, you know, like the Great Muta era, you know what I mean? Like when Muta was in WCW and so on and so forth.
It's essentially if independent wrestling had money thrown behind it, that's what it would be. It would essentially be NXT.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next portion, and I just wanted to shed some light on the Jon Stewart Paul Heyman segment. Brilliant. If Jon Stewart is teasing that he's gonna have a future with WWE, I hope he makes up his mind, because man, like that guy did some great things and did a very bad thing later in the pay-per-view, which we'll address. But him and Paul Heyman going back and forth, you got that chemistry. He should be some sort of either announcer or some kind of personality out there to, you know, kind of be involved with the company, you know. So I don't want to drag that on too long, because we do have the next tag match. But Demizzle, your thoughts on that segment with Paul Heyman and Jon Stewart?
I thought it was rather funny. I thought it was good stuff. Like, I could listen to Paul Heyman talk for like hours, because he is literally the last great manager in wrestling. And he just got it all. He knows how to play his role. He knows how to. Paul Heyman knows how to be Paul Heyman, and what Paul Heyman is very engaging and thought-provoking, and inspiring, and he just makes you want to watch him no matter what he's doing. And his interaction with Jon Stewart was great. And that final line was, I guess we couldn't get Dave Letterman for the pay-per-view. That was perfect.
Yeah. All right. And Nelson, your thoughts on that little segment? Because I thought, to me, that's going to be a preview of things to come. I don't think we've seen the last of Jon Stewart.
Well, I thought it was a very funny yet informative little skit that they had, because Jon Stewart was actually speaking truth.
Yes,
he wasn't
was
just speaking out of his ass. You know what I'm saying? But of course, Paul Heyman, as the guy he is, he knows how to think on the fly.
Yeah.
And that's how he does most of his scripts. Like, if you haven't noticed, not only does Paul Heyman write his own scripts, he is very informative with current events that's happening.
Yeah.
Same thing with Bray Wyatt. He doesn't have a script either, but yet the only thing you need to do, give him a person's name and he fucking rolls with it.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Yeah. And Bray Wyatt, that guy, that's a rarity. Like, he's kind of like of the old, like the Ric Flair and the Ultimate Warriors, that can just come up with their skits and promos off the fly. But you see with Jon Stewart, like what he said, a lot of what he said was like, damn, that guy's a fan, bro. He is a real fan. He knows his wrestling history, man. Like, even from before, you know, or his last appearance with WWE, man, that guy, that was he. I want to see more of him, good or bad, you know, whether he's a face or a heel, but we'll see. But anything to add to that before we move to the next match?
No,
you're good.
All right, Wyatt family versus Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. The only thing, okay, I want to go back in time to where the Shield and the Wyatt family not squared off, but there was a brawl on Raw. The Wyatt family's in the match, and the Shield just comes out of the crowd, and then they're facing off, and then the crowd's like, this is awesome. You know, this tag team match kind of was like trace elements of that, but, you know, unfortunately, they're still having the, you know, lashing towards Roman Reigns. And tonight was supposed to be a heel turn for either Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns. A lot of people are saying, hey, Roman should just turn heel. But the one thing I like about Triple H is he officially dubbed that we are in the reality era. They're aware of some of the smart fans that DeMizzo had mentioned earlier in this podcast, where they're trying to outsmart folks. It's like, hey, we're expecting this. And then I had made a joke like, just when you think you have the answer, they change the question. Like, oh, you thought you know. No, you don't know. We're going to keep you on your toes. So there was no heel turn tonight. So it kind of worked out for, I guess, you know, WWE and, you know, creative. They're trying to keep an eye and gauge a lot of folks so that they don't just give a predictable outcome. So overall, this match was great because both tag teams, obviously, they have history with each other, great chemistry with each other. I mean, you know, you saw shades of the old Shield where, like, you know, Dean Ambrose picking up, you know, Bray and putting him in the freaking power bomb by Roman Reigns. I mean, the action was cool, and because it was a pay-per-view, you saw that these guys were pushing the bar a bit. You know, a lot of, you know, continuous movement, a lot of Baroque action going on. It was, I liked the match. You know, it was very solid. You know, I think that if there was a title involved in that would have justified a title bout in it. So with that, Nelson, your thoughts on Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose?
I can honestly say that was one of the best matches of the night. I can honestly say hands down, because I am a fan of great performance. And if you can show me that and show me that this is like what it is, then you got me over, you know. But I have to say, big kudos to what the fuck is dude's name, man?
Luke Harper.
Luke Harper. That man can fucking wrestle. Holy shit, can he wrestle, dude? It's like he wasn't carrying the match, but the stuff that this guy can do for his size is remarkable. With like what you said with the whole Shield remnants, where they try to do like the triple power bomb without Seth Rollins and stuff. If you noticed, when they did that, the crowd didn't react the way how the wrestlers wanted them to react. They was expecting them to get hype and whatever.
But the crowd was into this match though. They were really.
They were. But I'm saying like when they try to like do like a throwback. That's all I'm gonna call it.
Yeah.
They try to do a throwback move. Everyone's like, oh, okay, stop. Just continue.
If Seth Rollins was there, like that one time that they kind of had teased that, okay, yeah, everybody went crazy, you know?
That was something to fucking be like screaming and going nuts over. But again, that match was going in 110%. I have to say,
full throttle on that match.
It was one of the best matches of the night. But what I did not like was the ending outcome when Dean Ambrose hit the move, and there was like all the time in the world for him to tag in Roman Reigns and for him to power up and start shaking and hulking up and all this other crazy shit, and for him just to go for the spear. I mean, that I felt that was like a waste of time.
A cop out.
Yeah,
to a good match. They could have booked the ending a bit better. And then Roman Reigns was noticeably out of the match for a good portion of it. You know what I mean?
People called him out. They said that he was sleeping.
Oh yeah, that's what they were chanting because I had Takuma talking and I couldn't hear nothing. Oh, what the heck?
Yeah, that's what they were chanting. It's like Roman sleeping. I was like, what?
Yeah, we got a brutal crowd up in this area. But you know, with that, I mean, you know, not to abruptly jump from you, Nelson, but I wanted to give the Mizzle a chance to speak. Your thoughts on this match?
I thought it was a very good match. It was one of the better matches of the evening. And the thing I enjoyed the most about the match is because, like, even though these four people hadn't wrestled together in quite a long time, like, the chemistry was just there. It was just like everything was just going off smooth.
Yeah, connection.
I was like, man. But I do feel that Roman Reigns would be better served as a heel at this point in his career because he's essentially going along the same path that The Rock did when he first started out. Like, they were just pushing him and people just were not buying it. Like, even though he's competent, I wouldn't say great at what he does, he's very competent at what he does. He's just not there. He's not at that I want to see this guy as a champion level. And you can't have your champion. It's not like Roman Reigns is John Cena where he's selling a bunch of merchandise, so by default they have to have this guy as a face. Yeah. Roman Reigns is not that guy, so you're not going to lose anything by turning him heel. Yeah. Like, if anything, you might see some personality come out of him because as a heel, he would be able to do and say a lot more to express himself rather than the various and grunting.
And not only that, if you notice with some heels when they're trying to be heels, let's say the fans have evolved. They cheer for heels now. Like it's no good guy or bad guy distinction anymore.
Well, it's like fans will cheer when they recognize someone is doing a good job.
That's what I was gonna say.
You can't indoctrinate things onto them anymore.
That's why people like Kevin Owens and people like Cesaro and people like The Rock and people like Stone Cold got cheered when they were heels because even though they were heels, the fans recognized that these guys are doing a very good job at being heels.
Yeah. And you know what I noticed? It's like there's a shift in, like you said, they're doing a great job in ring and their personality wise. They're becoming more like the overseas fans, like Japan, where, you know, I know on Saturday nights they one of our local channels, they show New Japan Pro Wrestling on our local access. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Access TV has a contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Even though it's like behind, you know, but you get to see some stuff where it's like, man, you know, the audience is different. They recognize hard work and they cheer that, as opposed to, hey, you cheer for this guy because we tell you to, type thing. So that's kind of, you know.
Yeah, they just finished the G1 Climax over in New Japan not too long ago.
Yeah, so that may be coming over like in another, you know, because usually JR and another person calls those matches, like they dub over it, so we can, you know, get whatever out of it. So with that, moving on. John Cena versus Seth the White Ranger Rollins.
Oh my
All
god.
right. Now, I am going to say, a lot of those who watch some of our few wrestling podcasts, my frustration with the booking for Seth Rollins, I know he's a phenomenal performer. To me, I look at Neville, Daniel Bryan, Tyson Kidd, like those high flyer technical guys that can wow the crowd. You know what I mean? I want to see him to, and me and Demizo were already talking during the pay per view. He's playing character and he's playing that character well. But tonight, I was kind of torn because I wanted to see him beat Cena clean. They let Daniel Bryan do it. Why not Seth Rollins? You know what I mean? The crowd was behind Seth Rollins like you wouldn't believe, and everything with his performance and all the move repertoires and what he has in the reserves that he hasn't even been pulling out yet. Booker T even said the same thing I said after I put it out there, but obviously you're watching that live. But I said before Booker T even mentioned anything, Seth Rollins did an excellent job tonight. I mean, damn, if that was a face turn, that would have been perfect. But the controversy at the end, I'm going to let everybody talk before we address the controversy, kind of it's like, yeah, Seth Rollins, you're proving your worth. And then that ending snatched it away. But the one thing I will say, he did come out as the White Ranger. The only thing I was missing was the arm sleeves and the mask, so and the Tiger Zord. But other than that, I thought that Seth Rollins made it a great match. However, John Cena clearly botched some moves where they were in the camera's view. Like the off the top rope leg drop, like his leg didn't even hit Seth Rollins. It's like he kicked him in the head. Then the springboard stunner, he didn't.
Your mic just clicked out.
And tighten it up. But Demizo, your thoughts, and then Nelson.
Yeah, I think John Cena, like, you kind of expected that reaction because, like, anytime you go to like a smart city where wrestling diehards are the majority of the fans in attendance, John Cena will be essentially booed out of the building. And it's not that they're rooting for the other guy, but it's more rooting against John Cena. So it's like, I appreciate what Seth Rollins does. He went full Tyler Black tonight, and if you don't know who Tyler Black is, you're not a fan of wrestling. But I do love that he started to incorporate the superplex into the Falcon Arrow moveset, into his moveset. You did see him go do the springboard planches and everything like that. And the reason why you won't see Seth Rollins win cleanly very often is because of they're playing him up to be the architect, this guy who always has a plan. Like, even when it looks like he's gonna win, he always has to have that extra just in case contingency.
Yeah, the draw four if you're playing Uno. Like, hey, you're about to call Uno, and then it's like you're sitting there with the draw four. Yeah,
that's the character that Seth Rollins is playing right now, and I appreciate that, so I'm not mad at it. And John Cena needs to stop using the springboard stunner because it looks like shit every time he does it, no matter who.
No, I disagree. There's sometimes he caught it nice, but tonight it looked like poo-poo. It
always looks like shit. Even when he was wrestling Kevin Owens, like, every match he had with Kevin Owens was great, except for the springboard stunner. Like, even when he was wrestling
So you're giving Cena some credit after all these years?
As I said, like, John Cena's a very hard worker, and I've never taken that away from him. I'm just not a fan of the character. Never have been. Never will. Like, I can't say I never have been, because I used to be a John Cena fan, but until they went PG, he was I'll say this time and time again, he was the first casualty of the PG era.
Yes. Okay.
And I just don't like the character of John Cena because they made him into this hokey combination version of The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Indeed. But
But
it's safe to say that match though was a good match. It was an exciting match to watch, to say the least. You know, do you agree on that?
yeah, it was a good match. It was a good match, but I'm glad they took the U.S. title off of John Cena, because it will be interesting to see how Seth Rollins operates with 2 titles now. Are they simply gonna...
Sheamus is gonna have to cash in. I don't think he's gonna have it like that for very long.
I don't think they're gonna have him cash in on Seth Rollins, and I don't think they're gonna demote Seth Rollins to the United States champion. What I think they're gonna do is have Seth Rollins drop the championship, and there's gonna be a tournament for the championship, and you're gonna see... you're gonna see Cena, Kevin Owens,
Cesaro,
and maybe a few others in a tournament. And you'll more than likely see Cesaro or Kevin Owens win the United States Championship.
Okay.
But that's a prediction for another podcast that I'll get into later. But overall, it was a very good match aside from the John Cena botches. He definitely needs to stop doing the springboard stunner.
Or introduce something new.
Yeah, introduce something new in place of the springboard stunner that isn't finishing maneuver quality but looks good visually. Like, yeah, that's good. Just stop doing a springboard stunner. It needs to be stopped.
All right. And then Nelson, your thoughts, and then we'll go into the conclusion of this match. That was just holy hell. So, yeah, so we're hitting that hour mark. So go ahead, Nelson.
Well, I'm gonna say I disagree with a lot of things that has been said. Seth Rollins was the match, not John Cena and Seth.
But you know what? He carried it. So sometimes a good wrestler will bring out or make somebody else look good. You know,
I normally would agree with you.
But that's how it is, though. Like, if you put Daniel Bryan with a crappy person, Daniel Bryan will make it. You know what I mean? He'll craft it to make that person look better.
Again, just like with Kevin Owens and John Cena fought, who carried all those matches? Kevin Owens did, not John Cena. And what happened tonight when Seth Rollins was unleashed for a temporary time frame? Seth Rollins was carrying the match. You also had... Now, let me speak truthfully, since this is the reality era that we live in today. We had wrestlers from the past, Hall of Famers on Twitter and Instagram saying that Cena, stop doing the springboard stunner, hashtag no effect. Like, you're doing shit that's unnecessary to even legends of the business.
But he's trying. But here's the thing, and you know, I'm not calling Demizzle out, but Demizzle was one of the people saying 5 moves of doom, and the guy tried to add something. Okay, fine. Yeah. If it's not ready, if he can't do it right consistently, don't do it.
It's not that it's not ready. It just doesn't need to be done. It's unnecessary to his.
So it should be good to go back to 5 moves of doom.
No,
do something else in place of that.
I think, in my honest opinion, John Cena needs to go backwards, not forward. And what I mean by backwards is let him go to the point when he was loved and actually, you know, gave a shit by the fans. When he was a part of the Chain Gang, when he was like a semi-heel, semi-face. If he went backwards and started that shit up again,
I'll tell you why. Susan G. Coleman, Make-A-Wish, and all that, because of what he is now, or, you know, imagine him being a heel and then going to a kid's hospital.
But the thing is, he can still do that because let's be realistic. Everyone knows it's a fucking male show, soap opera. Because if that's the case, you wouldn't have Seth Rollins, who is one of the most major heels, not go to the hospital. Same thing with Randy Orton at the time being. Bray Wyatt even fucking goes to the hospital and pays his dues and his respect. It doesn't matter what superstar, what position, what personality you are. Their work ethic behind and off the show will still show to these kids. They're like, oh shit, I am being presented by a wrestler.
But you know what, Demizzle said on our old podcast when he was like a full-time member of the show, where if the problem is it's Cena's fan base, like 14-year-olds and younger or whatever. I mean it's like the merchandising, like he turned heel, those kids don't buy anymore, and then it becomes an issue.
I disagree with that now, because John Cena's at a place where, like, and it's also due to the way the WWE presents him. Like every time you see like Make a Wish Foundation or Susan G. Komen, all they show is John Cena, John Cena, John Cena, John Cena. They make it seem like he's the only one out there doing it.
And that's why he has 500 appearances.
But if you if you listen to the Colt Cabana podcast a while back when CM Punk was on it, after like when he like explaining the reason why he left, like as Nelson said, like there's tons of wrestlers that they don't give props to that are out there doing it just as much as John Cena. Like he was out there doing it. Daniel Bryan was out there doing
Cesaro
was out there.
Sheamus
Fox was doing it.
Yeah,
Alicia Fox is a full-time off the show worker. She does the Reading Foundation. She does the Make a Wish Foundation.
Okay.
She even started up the Special Olympics for the WWE.
So that's a lot, like Demizo said, with the whole PG error thing, where you got those kids just Cena, whether they're forcing it. Like the kids are just all over this guy. You know what I mean?
Well, they are forcing it down the viewers' throat because again, this is Vince's image. He always wants to pick that one guy.
But Vince is not going to be around forever. And happy 70th birthday, Vince. He's as old as my dad. No.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
But he's never going to be around. But his semi-idea will be carried in with his daughter, which
Triple H. I have high hopes if he starts having control or pushing something. We're gonna see some change. I think a revolution is imminent.
We will see change, but as you said, not anytime soon, and probably in the immediate future we will see some. But just to finish off my little reaction towards it, they need to stop doing this because I understand you guys want certain people to stay in their place. And I get that because it's a seniority thing at the end of the fucking day.
Yeah.
I get that. But Seth Rollins did what he always does best, and that is perform. He knows how to perform. Now, again, where Alex is about to come in a few seconds and explain like the end conclusion of the match, only reason why that actually happened is because he's still storyline-wise a part of the Authority. They have to keep him in wraps with the Authority still. If he won the match legitly and clean, no more Authority, no more James.
I disagree. I disagree. He could have won that match clean, and they could still have the Authority thing.
No, but think about it though, Alex. He outperformed. He does more shit,
and he should have been rewarded for that. He should have been rewarded, and the booking at the end was BS because it's still. People like me and Booker T were like, man, okay, if he had won that, I would have been the first saying Seth Rollins is the man. But the ending.
No, but it fits. It fits because now Seth Rollins can go on Raw today, since it's 12:15 in the morning, and go, look, I can get a guy who is my harshest critic and that we went toe-to-toe, and I can get him to do this for me. Yeah. Look how great of an architect I am. Yeah. That's how you do that.
Yeah, in a sense, he can now use that as fuel for the show tomorrow. That is very true.
Jon Stewart has to explain his actions. So, getting to the ending, Jon Stewart runs into the ring. John Cena was trying to go for the Attitude Adjuster, formerly known as the FU. And the referee gets knocked out. Cena had the pin. The referee's outside of the ring. Here comes Jon Stewart with his steel chair. It looks like he's going to hit Seth Rollins, but gut shot Cena and then costs us in the match. So a lot of people are like, where the hell did this come from? What happened? Like, this is just very weird considering their history. So I wonder how this is going to play out on Raw tomorrow or tonight. I mean, like, me and Shinmar have this running joke. How could you do this? You gotta ask him about that. But why would he do this? Like, what are they going for? You know what I mean? Because Seth Rollins already has tools in terms of the Authority, right? Why does he need extra help?
Storyline, Kane is hurt, and J&J Security are also hurt.
Yes.
So.
Because Brock Lesnar broke Jimmy Noble's ribs, and the other one got slammed into a car and whatnot, so... I mean, Mercury. Like, remember when Brock was coming and beating the crap out of folks? Yeah, some people suffered injuries because Brock played kind of hard, like Bob Holly did. But But Jon Stewart though, Dave, come on, like where?
It makes sense. Like, what better way to have an enemy uh, turn into a trusted ally?
But you know what? I think that when Jon Stewart, if he does have an explanation for this, the crowd is gonna respond well to it because he's an avid wrestling fan, and he says, you know, a lot of what he said to Heyman, between in that segment, it's like he's for the fans. So maybe he did it for the fans. Who knows?
He's an avid New Yorker, and he knows that the fans don't like John Cena in New York. Well, he's a native New Yorker, so he knows that the fans don't like John Cena in New York City.
Okay, so Nelson, what are your thoughts on that outcome?
Well, the whole Jon Stewart outtake with the end result.
How
of the
can
match-
John do that to John? You have a John Cena, Jon Stewart, haha.
The reason why that actually happened, it all makes sense at the end of the day, and we'll put it in storyline terms for these people. With the architect, Seth Rollins, he's always scheming. He always has a
He's
plan
shady.
B. So, despite the fact that he had a little beef, whatever, with Jon Stewart, you never know who Seth Rollins actually really knows.
Okay.
And they made it so like, okay, we had a little thing back then, but him and Jon Stewart are actually cool off camera.
Yeah.
And Cena doesn't know that, again, by story. So Jon Stewart allegedly came out thinking like he was going to help Cena, of course, because why help the bad guy? You know, would make sense. So they pulled a 180 and hit John Cena instead of Seth Rollins, which, you know, again, they fought live on TV from, you know, The Daily Show, which he's now retired from after like 14, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And he did what this is. So it makes perfect sense now within story because, again, the architect always has. Wow, really?
You saw that, right? the memes are going crazy, bro.
I will talk about that when that match comes up.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it basically means that you never know who Seth Rollins, you know, associates with.
Okay. Okay. So with that, moving on, and I'm scrolling down to my notes.
The Divas thing has to be next.
Yes, I have it in order. I was typing and doing my notes. The Divas division is in good hands. This
but
match,
not with that match.
well, not with the match, but like the talent, man, I tell you, we have a bright future considering like that match was a way to get all the divas like some sort of light, you know, because I don't think they were ready to give them individual matches because there's so many matches.
Dude,
like
if you watched the NXT takeover the previous night, it should have been a one-on-one with Charlotte. And
okay, but let me finish. What I was saying is, you had the Randy Orton Sheamus match that shouldn't have been there. You had the Dolph Ziggler Rusev match that took spots from. I could have seen two Divas matches in place of those. You know, so that's kind of where I'm at. And in their way, that was them like, all right, let's give them a match and throw them all in there. I mean, it was entertaining to say the least, but I mean that they were underutilized, so to speak. But that's just my stand on it. So, Nelson, your thoughts on that match?
I thought the match could have gone 100 times better. And I will say this, that the NXT takeover in Brooklyn, the women's match on that was
great.
It
Epic.
was phenomenal. Like it was literally on par with
the Horsewoman.
Yeah.
Yes.
With a real championship on the line. And for the fact that they kind of threw out, I would say, in like the first 10 minutes of the match, they threw out Team Bad.
Yeah.
Mind you, Team Bad is compiled up with one of the 3 best in-ring wrestlers within the Divas division on Raw and SmackDown, and you just kick them out. I mean,
yeah, Tamina caught a mean, delivered a mean super kick. You know, I'm like, and then she's the one that gets eliminated.
Yeah, and I kind of find that fucked up because don't get me wrong, Sasha Banks did lose, but she showed like her true respect, her true colors.
Yeah, and
you kicked out mad quickly. Not only that, but Naomi, phenomenal diva. And she gets shitted on just as fast. Yeah. And then Tamina, literally the most physical fit diva there, and she gets bodied. Like, what?
Yeah, I think they were rushing it. They rushed it.
That does not make sense to me. Well, the booking or the writers fucked up because I know for a fact that they wanted a face-to-face match. And the reason why I say face-to-face is because realistically, all the little girls, all the 14, 15, 16-year-old little girls in the crowd, they idolize Team Bella. They really do, because those are
That's probably why Nikki still has the title for all this time.
Yeah, the too few divas in wrestling that actually made an impact after Trish Stratus, Lita, what the fuck was her name? Beth Phoenix, and one of the diva has left. Those
AJ Styles.
Yeah, and
AJ Lee.
AJ Lee. Those were the
Sasha Banks kind of reminds me of her in some ways, you know. If you look along, if you like. We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later. But those are the two dominant divas that has been carrying the division as of like popularity, modeling, the Total Diva show for more than 6 years. And they've been putting up a job. That's why they're still considered a face to a lot of women and little girls out there. But again, you have the real faces, which is Paige. Oh my God.
But you know what? Here's the thing, though. There's no defined faces or heels anymore. You know,
there is in the Divas division now. There is, since this is actually happening and going on. Team Bad is the dominant heel. Team Bella is the neutral team, and Team Paige is the face. They have them in 3 different sections. But again, that match alone was done sloppy. It could have been a lot better because again,
WWE booking as opposed to NXT booking is very different.
Yes, it definitely is. But again, I can't wait to see what happens on the downfall of NXT when it comes on Wednesday, and we'll see what happens along with those lines with that. But it could have been better. So
okay, and you know with. Paige's team winning, again, it didn't feel, and this is one of the first pay-per-views I sat through the whole thing without moving around, and that's to include the Divas match, despite some of the flaws in it. There was solid action going on there, and for the sake of time, we'll probably just leave it in the comments for the YouTube, which is this podcast really meant for. But with that, we're gonna move on. Next in the slot is we have Antonio Cesaro versus Kevin Owens, one of the better matches of the night, and I would say these guys, both of them, if you really think about it, couldn't afford to lose. You know what I mean? And with all things considered, how can I say? I'm not a big Owens fan because I don't really know him. I know of him, but I'm only recently being introduced to this man. From what I've seen, I'm impressed. The guy, but I'm not. I don't know, like the heels that really do their jobs. I just want to see them get their asses kicked. But the guy is doing his job, and he already lost the NXT title. He lost to Finn Balor. Got Bison stomped. You know what I mean? He lost his feud with Cena and everything. Cesaro was on the come up because the fans are actually now getting behind him. And what Vince was saying was that he doesn't have the it factor. It's just timing and whatnot. And Cesaro, again, I'll wait till the end of this segment to talk about the outcome. But in-ring action, man, you had Cesaro running around the ring doing a roaring European uppercut on Owens. Then he did that Psycho Crusher springboard-looking European uppercut. I mean, the crowd were really behind both. They weren't against one more than the other, But I mean, damn, that kind of I had a whole old ECW feel in the quality of the in-ring technical display between the two athletes. So I really liked the match. I was just a bit disappointed in the ending. It was good for one, but the other, it's like you want to keep their momentum going if the crowd is getting behind these guys, So, Demizzle, your thoughts on Owens versus Cesaro?
I thought it was like I'd seen a lot of these guys prior to them being in the WWE because I do watch a lot of independent wrestling. Like, if you are an independent wrestling fan, you know them as Kevin Steen and Claudio Castagnoli, and this was the typical Ring of Honor Claudio Castagnoli versus Kevin Steen match. And I thought it was great because it was about time you get to see these two guys go at it on the bigger stage. And like for people like me, this is like old hat, but I'm glad that people like Alex and others who don't watch a lot of independent wrestling are finally get to see what these two guys are made of. Where I do disagree with Alex is that I don't think a loss here hurts Antonio Cesaro because...
Oh, you blew the ending. I was waiting for the end. That's okay.
Don't
go ahead.
About it. You could explain it in depth. He's not ruining it.
Okay.
I don't think a loss here hurts Antonio Cesaro because they're like he was going in with such great momentum, and the way the match played out, both people came across as looking very strong. Like Kevin Owens and Cesaro came across as looking very strong, very technically proficient, and like they both had like no quit in them. So this is not going to be the last match between these two going forward.
This isn't over.
Yeah, I don't expect this to be over by a long shot. I expect them to have several matches and several pay-per-views before moving on to other things. So a loss does not hurt Cesaro in the slightest. If anything, a win helps the feud go on with Kevin Owens, because now Kevin Owens can say, look, I brought the fight to you,
and a clean one,
and you couldn't hang. And that's what the whole feud is built around. It's not built around any silly bullshit. It's built around, I'm the better wrestler than you, and I'm gonna prove it.
Okay. All right, so Nelson, your thoughts on Cesaro versus Owens?
Again, one of the best matches of the night.
I thought it was the match of the night.
Well, the reason
that Psycho Crusher European uppercut, man. Oh, what the heck?
The reason why I'm saying it's one of the best matches, because I don't like to say, oh, that was the best match. This is like this such and such, because it can always change in the future. That's the reason why I'll say also one of the best matches. But I am a fan of both wrestlers, Cesaro and Kevin Owens. Though I did side it more with Kevin Owens because now he's on the upcoming. He's getting his recognition now as a wrestler. Cesaro's been in the WWE for some time now, so that's one of the reasons. But they both performed outstanding. Cesaro did his signature moves. Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen did a lot of his signature moves from Ring of Honor. Yeah, it was going in. But again, the result of the match of him winning, Kevin Owens, was to make a statement.
Like he did when he got Dexina in the first match.
Right. Though the fact I did not win the title against Finn Balor, I am still a very strong and don't estimate me opponent. I will still bring the fight to you, and that's what he did. And you stand by his quote, fight Owens, fight. That dude is an amazing wrestler. And for his size, for him to like a truck, like that dude is crazy good. But then again, I can't take anything away from Cesaro. Cesaro, from day fucking one, when he entered the WWE ring, he shocked the fucking world. His strength is uncanny.
Yeah, which was displayed with Khali picking him up like that. That's crazy, or doing the Equalizer, the Big Show.
Yeah, he has an amazing in-ring ability that very few wrestlers have in this generation. He's a very unique individual, and I hope that he gets his push that he truly does deserve. Take away the shitty entrance music and build up his character more. That's what they need to do. They need to push him just a slightly bit more. Yes. Kevin Owens has his push. They're just trying to see where they want to place him.
He just needs to play that mega heel once he's firmly placed in the title picture going forward. Now I wanted to give a shout out to X Mega Sonic 45 for joining the chat. Thank you for watching our product right now. So I don't know.
What are you doing on? Take your ass to bed, man. You know
what? I'm giving you props. Thank you for checking this out. Nelson, don't be a Grinch.
Yo. He's family.
Oh, okay.
He knows what I'm talking about.
Unbelievable. All right.
Called out to the carpet.
All right. Last but not least, Newgamingorder. The match that's now.
I thought you was gonna talk about the thing at the end. You didn't get a chance to.
Oh, the ending?
Yeah, remember you said that. Oh, it got ruined. No.
No. You pretty much covered it. Like, I would have been.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So, The main event: Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Um, a couple. I think there are two things that bothered me about this match, where I think that the booking did like some weird shit here. You know, it's like, okay, I get that they're trying to keep Brock Lesnar looking like the Beast, looking strong, you know, but in trying to like desperately do so, some things just went really wrong in this match. Now, you know, you had obviously an age Taker taking on this beast of Brock Lesnar, and is, you know, like he's closer to my age and still in great shape. You know, the booking just was just all kinds of off. But I mean, I don't want to get too much into it. I want to give these guys a chance first before I say my piece. But you know, without the ending, you know, what were your thoughts on it, Nelson?
I thought it was a good start. Like
Yeah.
the way how like Brock Lesnar exploded out from his corner and started attacking the Undertaker while he still had his gear on. You know, didn't take off the jacket and whatnot. And then of course it was going back and forth. And, you know, it was a pretty hype match as it was presented.
It looked like a UFC bout at some points because.
Well, Undertaker does have a good background in a lot of, you know, different fighting styles supposedly within that thing. But again, I'm not gonna say nothing about the ending. I just feel concerned, and the reason why I say I feel concerned is because Undertaker may be working out. He may be looking physically, like as an appearance, he may look like
he focused on the weights. He got beefed up, but the cardio, it looked like. But you know, the thing with the booking, I'm thinking that was written in such a way to keep Brock like, look at what he's doing to Taker. Like he had him winded and beaten up, you know.
But look at it like seriously, like even if it was booking or not, Alex, you could see it in the man's eyes. Nothing like you could look anyone in the eyes and you can tell if someone's lying or telling the truth.
Of course.
Undertaker was drained. He knows
and he was nursing that rib too.
Right. He knows he has to go. I don't know why Vince or Triple H or whoever is keeping him in here. They have to cut him off because I am very concerned for this man's health. I mean, he within the last 4 WrestleManias or pay-per-views that he's featured in previously, he's been very winded. He's gotten seriously and medically injured.
And you know, it was made worse by the concussion at WrestleMania 30. You know what I mean? And he's carted out. It's just they just had to make sure that, again, the character that Mark Calloway portrays was always like that strong, dominant character.
Yeah, strong, unstoppable character. But again, Mark Calloway, you're only human. Stop trying to portray or let the writers portray that you're a fucking god. You're a human, dude. You need to chill the fuck out. You're fighting a guy who's 10 times younger than you and is physically stronger than you. You gotta chill, because the thing is, if you notice within the match, Undertaker was wobbling, he was stumbling. Brock could not wait for him to get up. He had to force Undertaker to get picked up and get dropped on his ass again.
And you know what? I noticed. Did you notice what this the suplex is?
Yeah.
Taker, I guess when they were working out behind the scenes, he was able to take the, like, you know, when Brock was doing the Suplex City thing, you saw how Taker was making sure that he went all the way over this time, as opposed to that, you know, the one belly to belly at WrestleMania 30 when he fell on his head and he just couldn't take him anymore. He's just like falling flat with it. So it was just like, ooh, like a gross mismatch with it.
Yeah, but I feel very deeply concerned for that man's health. Like, again, it was a good match until, again, I'll have you explain that. But I really do fear for that man's health, and I think he should play it smart and finally just end it. Just retire.
Okay. And Demizo, your thoughts?
Fuck that match 5 ways from Sunday.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about that match. I'm honestly tired of seeing the Undertaker wrestle. I have no interest in seeing him wrestle. Tired of seeing them bring the Undertaker back, like blow the dust off him, dye his hair black, and bring him back again for yet another painfully hard match to watch, because that's what this match was. It was just hard to watch, and not because Brock Lesnar is bad. It's just because the Undertaker's so fucking old, and it's getting to the point where this is becoming WCW in the late '90s and early 2000s, where you have like 50-year-old guys taking up a spot at the top of the card when they know they should not be there in any way, shape, or form. And WWE just needs to stop. I mean, I get that the guy has an interesting character, but fuck, man. Let me look this up.
Better booking, I think. But now, without drawing this out, since it's a bit
Let me
late.
just say one thing. The Undertaker is 50 fucking years old. He has no business in a wrestling.
But Flair stuck around a little longer than he should have also.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's a difference.
No.
There's a
Ric
difference.
Flair, I was tired of seeing Ric Flair wrestle too. Like, there was no reason for people like Ric Flair and The Undertaker and whoever else is like pushing 50 to be in a wrestling ring taking up a spot from up and coming wrestlers.
But remember what we talked about this before, like with the divas, like it's not just because it's always like Taker's taking up a match. If you remove him, you had Ziggler, Rusev, a couple Orton, and Sheamus taking up slots. If you're gonna say that there, you gotta apply it to everybody. Let's be fair.
Because Undertaker.
But then again, it's like you can't if you're like saying one superstar is doing it, and then you got 4 guys doing the same thing, regardless of where they are in their career, taking up a slot is that.
Let me explain. Where is Undertaker gonna be 2 weeks from now? Not wrestling in the WWE. Where's Sheamus, Randy Orton, and all those guys gonna be?
No, I get what you're saying, but we don't know. Like, Taker showed up out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying. Believe me. I agree. But like partially, it's like, hey, call it a toe's a toe. Like if somebody's doing something and other folks are doing the same thing. Even with The Rock beating CM Punk and getting the title off of him, and CM Punk even called him on it. He's like, hey, if you want wrestle one day a year or this and that, blah blah blah. But you don't hear anybody getting on The Rock or some of these other folks.
When that happened, I was the first one out here saying that. I'm like, there was no reason for The Rock to beat CM Punk because, like, after The Rock drops the title, where's The Rock gonna be? Not wrestling in the WWE. Where's CM Punk gonna be? Wrestling in the WWE the next night. So it hurt CM Punk because he lost to a guy that's not gonna be there the next day. That's the same thing that's happening with Brock Lesnar now. Even though Brock Lesnar is working limited dates, he's still there far often than The Undertaker is because Brock Lesnar is signed to the WWE for the next 3 years, so you're going to see him a minimum of 24 times a year, plus whatever other dates they happen to work out for him. So
yeah, he's on like what's that? Quarterly rotation, from what I understand. So it's like he's flexible, and that's why he shot on Dana White, where it's just like, hey, Vince is better to work for because Brock gets to essentially do what he wants. Like, right, hey, whatever.
He's still gonna be there whenever the WWE comes calling. Like, hey, we need you to do this program. Brock goes, okay, I'm there. Undertaker's not gonna be there. Like, he's not gonna be there storyline wise for whomever, and he's not like he's passing the torch to anybody because he hasn't passed the torch to anybody.
Dave, really?
Who has he passed the torch to?
To Brock, dude. Like, that's the guy that's like, okay, he's the guy that broke the streak on the biggest stage of them all. How else do you further solidify? Like, Brock is always going to be remembered for that. Don't say that, bro. I don't agree with you. I really don't.
Brock Lesnar, that's not passing the torch to me because Brock Lesnar.
Dave, people are going to watch this YouTube and they're going to vehemently disagree with you on that.
And you know what I can tell Autumn? Fuck y'all.
Hey, and that's your opinion then. That's your opinion, bro. Because if you think about it, you're saying this man didn't, like, he could have said, hey, I don't want to lose the match.
And
But he
like,
did.
Nobody wanted to take it from him. And even Brock Lesnar said in the interview, he's like, I had reservations about breaking the streak because I did not want to do it. Like,
oh yeah, I heard that. I heard that.
yeah, like it's not passing the torch to Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar is a world famous athlete at this point. He didn't need solidifying. This man is a former UFC champion. He was one cut away from making a professional football squad after not having played organized football since his senior year in high school. This man prior to that was a 3-time WWE champion. So he is 38 years old. He did not need any more solidifying. That was not passing of the torch. If he would have lost to Bray Wyatt, that would have been passing.
You know what? I don't mean to cut you off because we'll take this like on a separate segment between me and you, and just have other folks. I 110% disagree with that. But for the sake of time, Nelson, your thoughts before we go into the ending.
Well, again, whatever you guys are talking about, passing the torch, this, passing the torch, that, like, in my opinion,
I didn't want to stray off. That's why I cut it off.
In my opinion, towards the whole match, Taker just needs to stop wrestling. Whether if people assume or they disagree that it's like, okay, you need to break the streak, whatever, blah blah blah. Again, in my opinion, I don't think it is passing the torch because why would you give someone, first off,
who's part-time or
who is part-time, doesn't really give two fucks about the WWE. He's only, realistically, that man is in it for the money. All right, let's just be real, 110 fucking % honest.
And guess what? That's booking. That's booking. That much, like.
If they would have gave the opportunity for, let's say, a Daniel Bryan or someone,
it would have did CM Punk more good to beat the Undertaker in this streak,
or even CM Punk or someone that actually wants to build up their career, that's not really too established or is established, but just to put them over, that would have made sense. But given it as what Dave had mentioned, giving it to Brock Lesnar, he doesn't give a fuck. Because one, he's a former UFC champion. He's a former NFL, almost an NFL player, and he's gotten all these accolades and achievements. He's there very few times minimum. He is like one of the highest attractions and a must see. He doesn't care,
and that's why they gave it to him. If you think about it, you pretty much backed up like hey, they gave it to him, and they made him more of like, okay, he was already an attraction. But hey, this is the guy that had this achievement. You know what I mean? They're gonna want to see it. You know what I mean? They want to see that.
I agree with you on that sense, and I do understand what you're coming from. I agree with you on that sense. But again, realistically, if Brock Lesnar was like, "Yo, fuck WWE, I want to be a family man," dip, done. All that would have been for nothing. And then who the fuck is Undertaker gonna pass the torch to now? Nobody, because he already fucking did it with Brock Lesnar.
Now, if you think about it, but Brock, you got him for 3 years. There's a chance you have an opportunity to have him pass whatever onto somebody else.
But he's not going to.
Brock Lesnar is no more famous or less famous than when he was no more famous for beating the Undertaker than before he beat the Undertaker. He's still Brock Lesnar. Like, people are gonna pay to see Brock Lesnar regardless of if he beat the Undertaker or not.
Yeah, because he is just that household name from other things that he has done in his career.
How many other
we're talking from
appear on ESPN?
You know what? I'm trying to not because I hear you, Dave, but you're not hearing me. And this is coming from Bleacher Report and other reputable sites. We're just a small podcast, but other people who have more experience than you, Nelson and myself, saying the same exact thing. That this made him more white hot than anything else. All right, they made him that must-see attraction before any of this other stuff. Because if you go earlier in his career, it's like, okay, yeah, that's the guy who tapped out to Angle. This is the guy that imploded the ring with Big Show. But that just did more for like where he is in this stage of the career.
Yeah, I think you're just talking about in the sense. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're only talking about in the sense of his WWE career, not his.
Yeah. I think that Demizo's because Demizo is an avid UFC fan and a fan of him outside the ring. I'm isolating it to here. You know what I mean? So if I made a
All right,
mistake and
so
not making
Alex,
sure.
you make a good point now, because now I understand what you're coming
Yeah,
from.
because that's why I'm trying to make sure it's not like a favoritism thing towards Brock.
Okay,
You know what I
so
mean?
you're
I'm
talking
talking
about
like
in
this.
his WWE career, not in his
Yes.
entire
Yeah,
life
if
history.
I made it seem like that or I didn't distinguish that, then that's my error. You know what I
Okay,
mean? So,
okay, it
but
makes sense now.
yeah,
It makes
because
sense.
if you think about it, if you're isolating just the WWE career, and again, other folks who are more reputable than us are saying the same thing, who the hell are we? It's our opinion. And it's just like your opinion where this didn't help Brock when you know it did. You know what I mean? I'm just saying what other reputable folks who have websites, and other podcasts that people give a shit what they say. If they're saying it, who the hell are me, you, or Nelson? You know what I mean? I'm just relaying, and I agree with these guys because if you really look back at it, it's like, damn, he had a lot to gain from it, and if he does the right thing and passes it on to the next guy, then hey, you know what? They keep that momentum and that white hotness of that flame going. You know what I mean? I hope. I mean, again, we normally disagree, but I always respect your opinion, Dave. It's nothing personal, but it's just you gotta not be so like blindly like because I had to stop with being blindly behind Taker because when I saw him tonight, the guy was winded. It's like, hey, you know what I mean? The match was not the caliber like Taker versus Shawn Michaels 1 and 2 or Triple H. It's diminishing. So he has to learn when to just call it quits. Triple H did the right thing. He didn't stick around long enough for him to just start fading away. You don't want to see that, you don't want to display that for the fans. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
but that's the reason why I was saying, like, don't put Undertaker in a situation when he, like, realistically cannot outperform like he used to back, like, 15 plus years ago.
yeah.
He is not the Undertaker no more. But to stray away from all of this, we'll wrap it up in this sense,
Yeah.
guys. Leave comments on this particular portion of the.
Well, we didn't cover the ending, though.
No, we didn't. But I'm saying, as of, like, this portion, which is this main event, leave your comments towards this particular match because this is a 50-50 sided disagreement or agreement depending on your opinions or beliefs.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it as that. Alex will continue on with the finalization of that exact main event match and we'll call it. So
Okay, to wrap this up, this is just stating the facts and what everybody thinks about this. The ending was extremely controversial because what it did was it actually hurt Undertaker despite him winning. It hurt him because it's like, okay, you got Brock beat him clean at WrestleMania, and then Taker wins by submission because Brock passes out, but Taker was tapping to the Kimura, and that's a rare thing. Like, when was the last time you saw Taker tap to anything? This is the first time I've ever seen that, and when Takuma was like, his stream was ahead of mine, I'm like, alright, fine. But if you go back in some of the other controversial matches, like I keep bringing up WrestleMania 18, Terry, or not Terry Bollea, but Mr. Hogan versus The Rock. Hulk Hogan was visibly tapping out to the sharpshooter with the referee knocked out, right? Now, okay, it happens. I don't agree with it, and the way that they had that, you weakened Taker's phenomenal, the phenom, the character, because look at what happened. He was tapping. The timekeeper did something where they shouldn't have, where rung the bell, and it's like, okay, well, what the hell happened? The referee was counting Brock Lesnar's shoulders on the mat because he was going 1, 2, and then you heard the bell ring, and it was like, wait a minute. Taker was tapping, but the referee didn't see it because he was on the other side of Brock's body. But what is the ruling? Whatever the referee sees, despite what we agree or disagree. I hate to see shit like that. Even with the guy that I was supporting, is it's like, man, should they have 2 referees, one on the outside, one on the inside, or what? To correct things of this nature. But by controversy now, okay, the ref was like, hey, why did you ring the bell? I didn't make the call. So in essence, the match looked like it kind of restarted. Then Brock got put in the Hell's Gate, and Taker
after being punched in the nuts.
Yes. But hey, let's be fair. Brock did that to Triple H in their feud, and nobody says anything. I mean, this is. I'm disappointed in Taker's character resorting to using that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That wasn't cool. That wasn't cool. You know
it's
what I
a
mean?
big issue with that ending. I would have to add on because
Mhm.
you visibly know the referee is God in the ring. If he makes a call, you go by his decision and only
Yeah, whether
his
we like
decision.
it or not. Yeah.
Right. And if he visibly did not see the count, though,
Or the tap out.
right,
Yeah.
or the tap out, mind you, WWE or certain wrestling organizations, they go by specific ruling. They not always rely on instant replays to reverse the decision. Whatever is visibly to the referee's eyes is what he will call down to the middle.
Yeah.
So for the timekeeper to make that happen, don't get me wrong, in another organization, that would have been valid because witnesses saw Undertaker tap out.
Yeah.
And realistically,
And then Brock.
is the winner.
Yeah, and while.
Realistically,
Yeah.
Brock is the winner of that match. But
Mhm.
But due to the fact that the referee did not visibly see Undertaker tapping out, and he only saw when Brock's shoulders was on the mat, he was only able to call that part.
Yeah.
And again, where you went backwards and said that Brock kicked on Triple H in the nuts and blah blah blah, and he won the match, unfair.
Yeah.
I understand that. Reason being because those are two heels fighting each other.
Yeah.
They need to fight dirty.
Yeah.
Undertaker, on the other hand, is not a heel. He's a super face. And for him resorting to the point where he kicked Brock Lesnar in the nuts made him look like weak shit.
Yeah.
And for
But
him,
you see, that's also booking too, because they're like, oh, we can't have Brock lose clean, because it's like, if you think about it, it's like, damn, if Brock, deck Taker at WrestleMania and then he loses now, it's like, damn, you got the momentum. They were saying he hasn't tapped out or been pinned in 2 years, so you gotta to keep that allure about him. You have to come up with some way to say, hey, well, that wasn't legitimate. You know what I mean?
yeah, but then if you now think about it, and again, in the sense of storyline, Taker's streak was taken away, and
Brock's 2-year
and
streak.
Brock's immunity was taken away from him with the tap out and the pin.
Yeah.
So he made him show that Brock was weak in the sense that he, of course, got kicked in the nuts, and then on top of that, but again,
Yeah, they took away that invincibility.
But again, Brock did not tap even still. What he ended
passed
up
out.
doing, he gave a gesture. I will pass out. I ain't going down like a bitch. So fuck you, Undertaker. And he just went to sleep. He did not tap. I
Yeah.
want to put that on record. He just fell asleep with his.
That's like
middle
what
finger
Macho Man, like what happened with that, But Demizo, your thoughts on that controversy, and then we'll bring it to a close.
Jesus.
There are better ways that they could have ended that match while
Okay.
keeping both characters strong.
Okay.
But now it just leads to controversy, and it's going to lead to a match that I have no interest in seeing. And they could have kept the Undertaker, because I agree with you, it hurts the Undertaker as a character because he was always known as that guy who was just tough as nails and would do anything to beat you or go out on this shield trying to beat you.
Yeah.
Even when he was the big evil heel Undertaker during the Attitude Era, he still wouldn't resort to just something so underhanded in order to win. But this diminishes the phenom aspect
There
of
you
this
go.
character because it's like, okay, you had the Undertaker do something so against character against a person that he knows that he couldn't beat. So it harms the character, and it does nothing for Brock Lesnar because everybody knows Brock Lesnar is already tough. So it's
Again, I think that they're making booking mistakes. It just now
it's also why the match. It's also the reason why the match didn't need to happen, because you have two characters that is just hard to book against.
Yeah.
Without damaging the characters of the respective wrestlers. So you're having to try and mitigate the damage to both characters as much as possible. And it makes for a very shitty match and a very shitty outcome.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's like, okay, when Taker was defeated at WrestleMania, it's definitive. Walked away with it. Heyman made a mistake too. He's like, no, 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 because the same thing that you were upset with John Cena about, where Lesnar did something to him, and then Cena just got up like nothing happened. That's kind of what happened here too. You remember that conversation, right, Demizzle? Yeah, and it's like, it's like, man, what's going on with WWE and the writers? Like, do they need the NXT guys to start writing for them or what?
There's only one writer for NXT, and there's only one guy producing NXT.
Uh-huh.
The one guy writing NXT is under Triple H, and the only guy producing NXT is Triple H.
Yeah,
so it's literally
they're keeping it under tight wraps with NXT because again, a Triple H is overseeing a lot.
And you have 3 agents. You have William Regal, Jamie Noble, and Joey Mercury. Those are the only people involved with NXT from a backstage perspective.
Okay, so in closing, like, do you think that if maybe they have somebody looking at, different writing and booking, like that they could have done this or executed this better?
No, because of the way the characters are.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like there's no feasible answer that you could give to protect both characters and have both characters come out looking strong. Like, it's just the way the characters are. That's why they didn't need to fight again.
Yeah, and you know what? Somebody even said they shouldn't have been fighting, period. That first match was a mistake. This match is a mistake. You have 2 titans going at each other, and if you want to still maintain their relevance, you gotta do it right. You know what I mean? Honestly, I would have been more accepting of a Taker losing clean than him with a questionable victory.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's not like mixed martial arts where Brock Lesnar beat Randy Couture for the title. It's legit, so you can't question that.
Yeah. It's an inevitable rematch or something, and Paul Heyman is gonna have a lot to say tonight on Raw.
That's the only positive that's going to come out of this, is that Paul Heyman is going to talk for 15 minutes, and I don't mind Paul Heyman talking for 15 minutes.
that man knows how to draw a crowd. But
yeah.
So in closing, any conclusion or anything that alibis, because this was a 2-hour special, and those of you who know me and Demizzle's history, he's one of my best friends, since high school, and that's kind of our foundation of our friendship, our difference of opinion. So I don't want y'all to think on the audience that, hey, there's any beef. It's never been like that, so just letting y'all know that. But any closing comments, or Nelson, you go first.
I just want to say that this was still an overall good pay-per-view. It was just certain elements could have went in a different perspective. And again, don't push certain wrestlers to do certain things that they're incapable of doing, aka with John Cena with the whole springboard stunner and him attempting to do the figure 4 tonight. I mean, like I said, that we're in the reality era. There will be a lot of people watching, even former WWE, WCW, or ECW.
Val Venus is one of them.
And Austin called out springboard stunner, no effect. Like, people don't like to see shit. And the thing is, Austin can't, change it just based off of his own wording. He has no say in the matter no more. He can only talk as a regular fan.
Yeah.
But again, if they was done accordingly, a little bit different, where they allow the instant replays to give a second opinion to the deciding factor of the match, probably a little bit more stronger story or a little bit more stronger in-ring performance, we'll have a good gig going on. But again, we have writers that have favoritism towards particular wrestlers and such and such, so it's kind of questionable.
Okay. Demizzle, closing remarks.
We need more Kevin Owens and Cesaro, and Macho Man taught Stephanie everything she knows.
You know what? I almost pulled that episode when me, you, and Anomaly were, it was a funny one. You know what? You could use that in Free Play Mode's channel. Make sure you sub to Free Play Mode. Friend of the show, and always glad to have him as a guest on these specials. So Demizzle, you're always welcome to be on our post wrestling podcast. So NGO Bacon, shout out to you. Couldn't find you tonight, so we had to.
He was unaware that SummerSlam even occurred.
What the? We gotta chat with him.
And
but
mind you, he was the one that brought this shit up for us to do on the podcast.
yes. So
You fired, son.
no. Hey. And Jill Bacon is our member that
No,
really.
I'm just kidding.
No, he did great stuff. So with that, New Gaming Order, make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. Please leave your comments below because normally I used to rush through these when I used to host them, but I wanted to give it time because we are avid wrestling fans to varying degrees. So make sure you check out our weekly podcast every Thursday at 8 p.m. Hopefully, the New Gaming Order will get WWE 2K16. Because I remember me and Nelson were playing 15 and I cheated and I pinned him and.
Well, the thing is, if the game is still shit, I'm not gonna get it. There's a lot of things that 2K needs to understand and utilize. That if you want a good wrestling game, look at the previous wrestling games that was actually doing well, like No Mercy. No Mercy is like one of the best wrestling games, if not still the best wrestling game out there. You also have Fire Pro Wrestling, which you're able
oh my god,
literally
yes,
any fucking wrestler out there with every single wrestling move to date. Like, if you focus on those things and better the entrances, because I've seen a couple already and they look like shit.
Yeah.
So they need to step up their game with that, and don't have the mechanic where you have to be on a revolving gauge.
Yeah,
Just have
because
them
if it
mash
lags, it's gonna you miss the button press and the latency, you get pinned, and that's how the whole thing with Shinwar happened. We were doing 6-man tag, me, Nelson, and Shinwar in the match. Shinwar's like, don't come in. We're gonna try and save him on the pin. Don't come in. 1, 2, 3, and he lost. It cost us the match.
Yeah. So I mean, don't get me wrong. I will still support the game for what it is, but I myself will not be picking up WWE 2K16 due to the sheer fact that the game is still shit. The company just recently took it over, so they're gonna learn over time how to develop the.
Well, this is their second one.
Right, so I'm saying give them a little bit more time, probably another 2 more games, and they'll probably fix.
That's a long time, though.
To me, I can wait. Because again, every year there's a new sports game, correct?
Yeah.
And so far, 2K's picked up on the wrestling, and right on time, the yearly game, and it's already coming out. So trust me, the years go by quick when you don't think about it. It's just, the next thing you know, we'll have the best wrestling game on earth.
Okay. And with that, make sure free play mode. He does a lot of Fire Pro Wrestling and pre-matches. He'll put Kevin Owens against Cena and things of that nature. So you check that out. So rate, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on newgamingorder.com. Make sure you check out free play modes. YouTube channel. We'll put a link in the description. And if you would like to join the New Gaming Order staff, inbox me or Nelson. We really need the help because sometimes on the admin side, we're managing the web page, the Facebook, and all this other stuff, and we're growing with our partnership with Fullscreen. Is becoming more manageable pieces. So any help would be great. So with that, I want to shout out to those who are in the chat. John Sweeten one. Oh, we're logging off. He kind of came in late, but it is what it is. But you'll get to see what you missed on the YouTube archive. And with that, we're out like the Juggernaut bitch, and I will see you guys next time on the New Gaming Order podcast show. Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Well,